Hi there guys, welcome to issue 13. So no minis today, but we did get a couple more paints. So we got Abaddon Black and we got Mechanica Standard Grey. We also got a cool dry brush. And when we get to the paint section, we'll have a little look to see what dry brushing is for those of you who may not know. Okay, so magazine wise, you can see that I've already got my battle mat laid out, because we're going to be doing the playthrough from issue 13 today. So for that, you will need a range ruler, some dice, your Briar Queen along with the Thorns of the Briar Queen. You will need your Castigators from one of the early issues, just the 3 of them. And you will also need your Knight Questor. Okay, so what have we got today? Discover the Forces of Order, paint your Sigmarite Mausoleum, and new rules to play through. And if you're going to stick around for the playthrough, you will need your Sigmarite Mausoleum pieces as well. Okay, so we've got our magazine this week, and we've got another pull-out, one of these fold-out pieces as well. I think we'll go through this first. Actually, no, let's do the intro for the magazine first. In this issue, with your new paint and brush, you're ready to paint your Sigmarite Mausoleum in this issue. And we have an easy to follow paint guide that will make sure you get it ready for battle. Your new dry brush will come in especially handy, as its broad bristles are ideal for base coating terrain. This issue's playthrough introduces important new rules for your games, including showing you how your units can retreat from combat. Sometimes it's best to withdraw from a fight, as it may save your units from certain destruction. So what are we looking at? We've got the Forces of Order. We're looking at Blizzard of Blight. In the thick of an icy snowstorm, the Hallowed Knights fight alongside their Sylvaneth allies to liberate a frozen forest from the followers of Nurgle. Then we've got Nighthaunt number 4, Rise of the Wraiths. Learn how Nagash turned the rampaging Nighthaunt into an army to help him conquer the mortal realms. Then we've got how to paint your Sigmarite Mausoleum. Then we've got playthrough issue number 13, Geists at the Gate. And then we've got Stormkeeps and Stormhost Organisation. This fold-out explores the secrets of the Stormcast Eternal's mighty fortress, the Stormkeeps. It also includes a visual breakdown of the organisation and structure of a Stormhost. I think we'll do that first. Okay, so Stormkeeps. Giant fortresses crafted by Stormcast Eternals, Stormkeeps are amongst the mightiest fortresses in any of the mortal realms. Many foes of the Order have attempted to conquer a Stormkeep, but few have succeeded in breaching the walls of these impregnable structures. Okay, so it's got a little bit about the history of them. It's got something here about Lord Castellance. The Lord Castellance is responsible for the defence of his Stormkeep. They carry lanterns that emit a golden glow that heals their fellow Stormcast Eternals of even the most terrible wounds. During a siege, the Lord Castellance will rush to the battlements of his Stormkeep to heal his allies and slay as many enemies as possible with swings from his mighty halberd. Okay, right. Very cool. We've got something about Lord Ordinators. Lord Ordinators are the creators and builders of the Stormcast Eternals fortifications, as well as using their magical talents to read the future. They're responsible for overseeing the construction of every Stormkeep, using their incredible intelligence and faultless logic to ensure that these defensive structures are as difficult to capture or destroy as possible. The Lord Ordinators also assist in the mortal races, overseeing the construction of new cities, many of which grow up around a Stormkeep. If a Stormkeep should come under attack, the Lord Ordinator is more than capable of fighting alongside their troops and defending the great structures which they have created. Their hammers hit with the power of a falling comet and can crush an enemy to the floor with a single strike. Brilliant. Okay, and then on the other side, we've got the Stormhost Organisation. The Stormhosts are designed and created by Sigmar thanks to the God King's wisdom. They are organised in a way that allows them to deploy quickly across the realms. So this goes through all of our different chambers, from Sacrosanct, Exemplar, Warrior, Harbinger and Extremis. It's also got the Vanguard Auxiliary chamber. And what it does is it lists the different types of units that are in each one. And then it gives a little bit of an explanation there as well. So this is good. This is very interesting. Look forward to going through that later. Okay, back to the magazine. Forces of order. In the eternal battle, the forces of order will always stand against the darkness of chaos. They protect the 8 realms from madness and misery. They live by the rule of law, and duty and oaths bind them. They guard the cities of civilization against whatever horrors the dark gods unleash upon them. Once the factions of order were part of an alliance so strong, it was able to bring the light of the gods to the far corners of the mortal realms. Unfortunately, the many weaknesses of men, Duardin and elves allowed the chaos to corrupt and divide them. Friends, allies and brothers were driven apart by greed and pride. The worlds of order and civilization were destroyed and their great works torn down. Okay. Then you can see here we've got the Sylvaneth in the background here. The Sylvaneth have fought alongside several different Stormcast Eternal Storm hosts to overthrow Nurgle's demonic hordes and cleanse their woodland homes of corruption. That's good. I like the Sylvaneth. They're really cool models. I had a few of their Kurnoth hunters or Kunroth hunters. I had a box of those which I had kind of kit bashed into trees for Blood Bowl, but they are very, very nice models indeed. Okay, then we've got the Blizzard of Blight. In the thick winter snows of Gyron, the Hallowed Knights fight to free a grove of Sylvaneth from the grip of Chaos God Nurgle's foul corruption. In the midst of a terrible blizzard, the allied forces of order battle the disease-ridden followers of the Plague God. The Hallowed Knights push through the thick forest and gathering snow, their silver armour gleaming in the light. The snow was falling in a thick blizzard strong enough to slow even the towering Stormcast Eternals. Ahead, the Maggotkin of Nurgle stood ready, their bulky forms barely visible through the storm-filth-encrusted weapons drawn. A retinue of retributors led the charge, hammers swinging as they plunged into the heart of rank upon rank of bloated Chaos warriors. The flurry of hammer blows sent sprays of blood and pus into the chill air, splattering the snow to form a carpet of frozen gore that cracked and split beneath armoured boots. Grim. Okay, and that sort of brings that little story onto a close there as well. Then we're on to Nighthaunt Rise of the Wraiths Part 1. During the Necroquake of Shyish, Nagash witnessed the terror caused by the Nighthaunts. He had discovered the perfect shock attack force to unleash upon his foes. Although the Nighthaunt attacks during the Necroquake had caused havoc and destruction, Nagash sought to improve upon them. The assaults were often stopped when defenders regrouped, and they were rarely planned with any strategy in mind. Different armies of Nighthaunts made no attempt to work together or achieve any victory beyond terrifying and slaying mortals. Okay, that's all good as well. Then we've got how to paint our Sigmarite Mausoleum. So basically what we've got, this dry brush. For those of you who don't know, what you do is in order to dry brush something, and it shows an image here, this is probably the best one. So what they're doing here is they've undercoated this building in Mechanica Standard Grey. Now I have never painted and will never paint anything that hasn't been primed first, so I will always use a spray primer. But anyway, so they've painted Mechanica Standard Grey straight on there, and then they're dry brushing it. And what dry brushing does is you take a very, very small amount of the paint you're dry brushing onto the end of your dry brush. You get a piece of kitchen towel or something like that, and you wipe off as much as you can until it's barely visible. And then what you do is you make brush strokes past the sharp edges, and what that does is it gives this effect of just a very small amount of paint onto those sharp edges that you can see there. It's a really fantastic technique, and you know it's used by almost all miniature painters. But for those of you who didn't know about that, it's very, very good. And, you know, these are very good brushes. In fact, I've got brushes by a few different companies, and I think that the dry brushes from Citadel are probably about the best. Okay. Then we can see an image of what our stuff will look like after today. So we've got our buildings in Mechanica Standard Grey that are dry brushed with Corax White. Then we've got our fences, which I've been painted in Abaddon Black, and then we've got a coat of Cantor Blue over the over the stone pieces. And again, this has been dry brushed but with Corax White as well. So very, very good update to the paints this week. Okay, now before we get on to the playthrough, Geists at the Gates, let's quickly have a look to see what we've got coming up over the next 2 issues. So don't forget, we're on a 2-week gap at the moment in retail for Mortal Realms. So in 2 weeks' time, my review will be of issue number 14, which is the Dreadblade Harrows, which are really, really awesome. And then for issue number 15, we will get Complete Your Sigmarite Mausoleum. So what we will get is we'll have the doorway with which to add our gates to. I think these are other new, we've got new walls here, which are really cool. And then we've got this nice statue. So we look forward to those very much. But let's get on to our playthrough. The item the Nighthaunt seek has been discovered. A magical staff located in the depths of one of the Mausoleum's many tombs. The Stormcast Eternals intend to hold the gates against the swarming Geists and prevent them from laying their chill grasps upon the objective they desire. Okay, so I've already set up our models. So we've got on the Nighthaunt side, the Briar Queen is there, and there are the Thorns. On this side, we've got the Knight's Questor, and we've got our 3 Castigators. Now we just need to add our terrain, and we're good to go. So we've got one small building there, a large building there, our crypt there, and then we've got our 2 fences. Just go there and there. So we've got quite a few new rules today, which we're going to include in this playthrough. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the hero phase. And we're starting with the Nighthaunt. So the Briar Queen, she's going to go first. And she's going to fire Arcane Bolt straight at the Knight Questor. So for Arcane Bolt, she rolls 2 dice looking for 5 up. She does that with an 8. So that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So Knight Questor is down to 4 wounds. Okay, next up the Thorns are going to move, and they have got a move of 6 inches. Which brings us to just over the halfway mark. Now what I'm going to do is just for this playthrough, I'm not going to run with that unit. Just to see how this battle will develop elsewhere. Okay, now onto the shooting phase. So the Briar Queen has got Rending Scream. So she rolls 3 dice. So looking for 3 ups, 2 go through, and then 3 up to wound. Both go through. Now she's actually got Rend -3. So our Knight Questor would normally save on a 3 up, but now he saves on a 6 up because of that Rend -3. So he's got to roll 2. He doesn't get any 6s, so those go through. So that's another 2 damage onto the Knight Questor. So he's down to 2 wounds already. Okay, so now there is no combat phase because no one is in range. So we switch back to the Stormcast Eternal's turn. So he's going to move 6 inches towards these guys, which is his movement. puts him to within 6 inches, but what we'll do is we'll leave it just outside and we'll get him to charge as well. But we'll do that after the shooting phase. So our castigators are going to shoot now. They roll 1 dice each. So they're hitting a 3 up. So they're gonna shoot the thorns. So they're hitting a 3 up. 2 go through. Wound on a 3 up. 2 go through. Our thorns are going to try and save. They save on a 5 up. And they save 1, so that's 1 model dead. Okay, onto the charge phase. So Night Questor is going to charge, so he rolls 2d6 and he needs to make the distance between the two. In this case, it's only 3 inches. So there you go, he rolls 5 inches, so he's straight into combat there. Okay, so now we've got the combat phase. It's the Night Questor. His stats have changed since the last time we played him. He now rolls 4 dice in attack. Okay, so he hits on a 3 up. So 3 of those go through. He wounds on a 3 up. And if any of these is a 6, it will do double damage. Okay, so he's got 1 6, so that's 2 damage. And he's got a 4, which is 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and save against these. So we'll save against the 4 now. So we're looking for a 5 up, which fails. I'm going to try and save against the 6 now, which is 2 damage. And he rolls a 5, which is a save. So that's only 1 damage for the thorns. Okay. Now the thorns get an opportunity to hit back in this phase. So they're all going to pile in. They roll 2 dice each. So they hit on a 4 up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 go through. And they wound on a 4 up. So 2 of those go through. And Night Questor saves on a 3 up. He saves them both, so no damage taken. Okay, back to the Nighthaunt turn. Now, we've got Arcane Bolt again. So Briar Queen is going to try and hit the Night Questor again. So 2d6, looking for 5. Easily does it. Now, so that's 1 mortal wound there. I can't remember how many wounds he'd taken previously. I think it was just 1. So we'll say it was 1. So we'll leave him on 3 wounds there. There's no running to be done unless she wanted to move a bit closer, but there's no point in doing that now. So we move straight to the shooting phase. Briar Queen again attacks with 3 dice on Rending Scream. It's looking for 3 up to hit. 1 goes through. Now, actually, because he is within 3 inches of enemy units, there's actually something called Look Out Sir. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for missile weapons that target a hero that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit that has 3 or more models. So that 3 up would actually need to be a 4 up, so he's safe. So nothing happens in that shooting phase. So now we're just on to combat. So these guys are going to try and hit the Night Questor again with 8 dice. Okay, 4 up to hit. 1, 2, only 3 go through. 4 up again to wound. All 3 of them go through. Okay, 3 up to save on those. He saves 2, so that's another wound. So he's down to 2 wounds. Okay, and he's going to now hit back with 4 dice. Looking for a 3 up to hit. 3 go through, 3 up to wound, 2 go through. The Thorn's going to try and save on a 5 up. None of them save, so that's 2 more wounds. That's another 2 models slain. Okay, so that's the end of that round. So now we're back to the Stormcast Eternal's turn. Now, we've got no hero phase. We have got a movement phase if we want it, but we're not going to do anything here. So we're going to go straight to the shooting phase. So our castigators this time are going to fire on the Briar Queen. So that's 3 dice, looking for 3 up. They all go through, looking for 3 up to wound. 2 of them go through. The Briar Queen saves on a 4 up. She saves them both, so no damage. Okay, so that is over. So now we're going straight to the combat phase. So Night Questor, 4 dice, looking for 3 up to hit. 2 go through, looking for 3 up to wound. Okay, so it's a 6 and a 4. So don't forget the 6 does double damage, so that does 2 damage. So the Thorns are going to try and save the 4 first. They need a 5 up for that, which they fail. So that's definitely 1 model done. And then we're going to try and save the 6 on a 5 up, which is a 1. They fail that as well. So both these models are now slain as well. So there's no chance for the combat to hit back. So it's back to the Nighthaunt turn. So, Briar Queen. Arcane Bolt, looking for a 5 up. She gets 5, which is good. Okay, so that's 1 damage. She's going to deal directly to our Night Questor. So he's got 1 wound left. Now we're not going to make any movement or anything like that. So she's actually going to shoot him in the shooting phase. So she's going to roll 3 dice, looking for 3 up. 2 go through, 3 up to wound, 1 goes through. He's going to try and save on a 3 up. He fails, so he is dead. Okay, so now we've got to a point where all we're going to be doing is the shooting phase and the hero phase for the Briar Queen. Because there's no point in any of these guys moving at all. So it's just going to be a straight shootout between these guys. So that was the Briar Queen's turn. There's no combat, so we're back to the Stormcast Eternals, to our castigators. And they take 2 wounds each. So there's 6 wounds here in total. And our Briar Queen can take 5 wounds in total. But she does get an extra attack just from having the Arcane Bolt on her turn. Okay, so castigators. 3 dice, looking for 3 up. All 3 go through. 3 up to wound. None go through. Back to the Briar Queen. Arcane Bolt, looking for 5 up. It's done, so that's 1 mortal wound. Now shooting phase. 3 dice, looking for 3 up. Both go through, looking for 3 up to wound. Both go through. They're going to save at a rend -3, so they need 6s. Right, I need to stop this for a second. For the rest of the game, I get the saving rolls wrong for the castigators. Now the castigators normally save on a 4, but a rend -3, that means that they would need a 7 on a d6, which is impossible. So they cannot save against those rolls from the Briar Queen. So for the rest of the game, when I say that I'm trying to roll a 6, I shouldn't be doing that. It is impossible. I'm very sorry. Okay, both fail. So that's 2 wounds. So that kills this guy and puts 1 wound onto him. Okay, onto the castigator shooting phase. Looking for 3 up. Both go through, looking for 3 up. 1 goes through. Briar Queen tries to save on a 4-up, manages to do it. Back to the Briar Queen. Arcane Bolt, successful, does 1 mortal wound, which kills this guy. So we've got 1 model left on 2 wounds, but she's now going to play her Rending Scream with 3 dice, looking for 3 up. They all go through, looking for 3 up to wound. 2 of them go through. 6 is to save due to the rend -3. He fails at both of them. He loses. The Briar Queen and the Nighthaunt win. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I will see you again in 2 weeks' time for our next issue of Mortal Realms. And stay safe, and I'll see you soon.